In this video, I will be revealing to you in details how I intend taking advantage of a simple but interesting position lying up for us here on the USD CAD. On the daily time frame, it is obvious that price has been trending to the downside since March 2020, and we can see after price came into 1.999 area, we saw price rise up into 1.29550 area, and we saw price doing a consolidation within the zone since the later part of last year. Price has been consolidating within this area, giving us a clue into the indecision that has gripped the market between this in the last 7 to 8 months. So we've had a consolidation phase within this area. We saw rejection here, then we saw resistance around this area, which emphasizes the indecision that is in the market at this point. So now moving on into the new week, what do we see here on the daily time frame? So I would like to zoom into what has been happening in the last 2 weeks, and let's see how we could take advantage of whatever momentum that is evolving behind the scenes. Well, one thing I noticed here is this. Between the month of April and the end of May, stroke the beginning of May, we saw our price climbed up into one point, sorry, climbed up into 1.31 area. Hold on a second. We saw our price climbed up into 1.31 area, and after we saw a rejection of that 1.31 area, which pushed price further to the downside at 1.2500 area, before we saw another move to the upside that began in the early days of this month, and price came back up into this area one more time. Hereby we saw a sharp rejection of this area, which gives us a clue into a possible reversal pattern, that is a double top structure, which could send price going further to the downside. So what I want to be looking out for is this. If we now see that this area, that is the 1.31 area, has been a supply zone for price action, and we want to identify this area as our supply zone. Give me a moment. Let's label this area our supply zone. I want to place it right inside in the center of this. So we have a supply zone sitting around this area, and one thing we will observe is that every time price comes into this area, we saw a sharp rejection, and the same thing happened mid of this month. We saw a sharp rejection of this area. Price came back here, and then we saw a new lower high, giving us a clue into the reversal pattern that is forming at this point as we look out for a breakout of structure of that neckline to give us a confirmation to join the decline to the downside. So how are we going to take advantage of this move when it finally happens? So let's scale down to the much lower time frame, let's say the 4 hours time frame, where I want to be identifying the neckline that will be our guide going forward. Now on the 4 hours time frame, we saw what has been happening. It's now becoming clearer that after this impulse leg into the 1.31 area, we saw price come back down, then we saw the double top structure forming, and then we want to be looking for a breakout of structure. So the next thing we want to be doing here is to identify our neckline, which will be our key level going into the new week. So if we bring out our if we bring out our line chart at this point and we connect the series, that is at this point price was supported at this point, supported here, and then we had a resistance here as well. Between this area, we should be having our key level sitting. So let's bring out our rectangle at this point, and then we connect. So we should be having around, let's see, 1.29150 appears to be most appropriate at this point to start as our key level. Is it 1.2? Okay, I think 1.29100. I think 1.29100 appears to be. Hold on a second, please. Yep, 1.21 appears most appropriate. We give it a gold color, then we label it for the sake of clarity. Key level at 1.291, which is also more or less a psychological level. Let's place it right at the top and on the right hand side of our screen so that it does not obstruct. I want to delete this once as we no longer need it, and we should have a clean screen going forward. So this is what we have here. Go back to our candle chart and we have something like this. Now, what we are going to be looking out for, we all understand that after every impulse leg, the tendency of price to do a retracement at the point of a reversal is very, very eminent. And we look at this, then we are expecting a breakdown of that key level at 1.291, where a retest of structure could push price into the golden zone area or back into where price was at the beginning of the month. So this is what I'm going to be looking out for going into the new week. So with this illustration detail here, we want to be having our entry point right below the key level. That is, we want to see price come back into, after we could see price do a little move to the downside, come back into our key level, then we look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the decline to the downside. However, we cannot say in specific details how price is going to play out. But this is just a speculation on how we intend taking advantage of that bearish momentum when it finally happens. So to guide our action, I'm placing an entry point around 1.28970, which is subject to change as whatever structure or pattern that arises during the early hours of the week could give us a different scenario. So now with this setup identified here, where will our take profit target be? Well, the first thing I want to do is this. Let's identify our stop loss area. That is, after the confirmation has been made, we should have stop loss around this area. Remember, this is subject to change as it depends on how price reacts during the early hours of the week that will determine how this is going to be. Now, if we run our Fibonacci retracement tool and run it through that impulse leg here, we have a scenario where our golden zone area falls right in between the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg. So we have somewhere around here as our take profit target, at least for the meantime. Let's give this a yellow. So we label this one take profit TP target for sellers. Let's place it right in between the rectangle that we just identified here, and let's delete the key level. So if we have our take profit targets at least a minimum of, let's say, 200 pips to catch here. And the reason why I'm placing my take profit target here, if we look left, we can see that we have an area here that has one time been either a support or resistance. And because of that, we want to at least take our profit around this area, and afterwards we see what happens. Will now determine how further we're going to go, or are we going to be doing a reversal from this area. So this is my perspective here on the euro, on the USD CAD. And like I said, if we do have a breakdown of this area during this week, a retest of structure could push price further to the downside. So this is my scenario here on the USD CAD, and I hope the data herein will be enough to help you make individual investment decision during the new week. Follow me on TradingView so that you don't miss out on the regular updates I normally share in the comments section. Thank you for watching and do have a wonderful day.